Welcome to Georgia Life Sciences podcast, bringing you the latest insights and innovations from Georgia's life sciences industry. I'm your host, Maria Thacker Goethe, President and CEO of Georgia Life Sciences, formerly known as Georgia Bio, and I'm excited to take you behind the scenes with industry leaders, innovators, and policymakers shaping the future of biotech and medtech across the Peach State. Please note that our organization has recently rebranded from Georgia Bio to Georgia Life Sciences. While earlier episodes may reference Georgia Bio, we are now operating under our new name, Georgia Life Sciences, reflecting our broader commitment to the life sciences community. Thank you for your understanding as we transition to this exciting new chapter. Welcome back to BioBeat, Georgia's Life Sciences podcast. We're coming to you from the 2024 Georgia Life Sciences Summit. And today I've got Leanne West with me with the Pediatric Innovation Network. And I'm really excited to learn about all the work you do and the partnerships you all have and your impact on patients everywhere, frankly. So Leanne, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here and loving the event so far. It's been great.
Great. Glad to hear it. I know you had a big day yesterday with the showcase. I hope that you felt it was a success.
Yes, the showcase went really well. Really excited with the different teams we had come and present. And we love showing off some of the research coming out of Georgia Tech that's on the horizon. Just some really interesting and great technologies, and we had a great audience to listen to it all.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate that partnership, and congratulations to all those winners. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you ended up where you sit now at Georgia Tech.
Yes. So I've been at Georgia Tech for a really long time. I started graduate school there in 1993 and never left. So in some capacity, I've been working at Georgia Tech. Started out in the Georgia Tech Research Institute, which is the applied research side of Georgia Tech that most people probably don't even know about, but moved over to the academic side about 10 years ago. I was doing sensing applications and technologies and mobile devices and gaming and things like that. And when the relationship with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, our main partner in our relationship, when that started about 10 or 12 years ago, they made me the Chief Engineer of Pediatric Technology, and that's kind of how I got here. I love it. It's been my favorite role at Georgia Tech so far, and I've loved all the roles I had before that too, because it's just fun to stay on the cutting edge of technology and, kind of get to see what's getting ready to come out in the world.
That's very cool. When did the network get started? And we should call it PIN, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have the Georgia Tech Pediatric Innovation Network, and that actually started after we started working with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. We originally called it the Pediatric Technologies Center. And so all of our work that we do with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta is under the PTC name. And then everything else we do with other children's hospitals falls under the Pediatric Innovation Network. And we really like to call it a network because it's not just about Georgia Tech and working with one or two hospitals. It's really about the whole ecosystem that we've created in pediatric healthcare worldwide. And so if you come to us and want to work with us, we can bring in the rest of the ecosystem to make things happen.
So tell me a bit more about what the Pediatric Innovation Network does and how people work with you.
Yeah. So I, as chief engineer, will often speak with clinicians and understand problems that they have in the clinic, maybe even administrators, really anyone at the hospital. They can come to me. We can talk about what their problems are. And then I put teams together at Georgia Tech that I think can come up with a solution for them or do a study for them. And then once a team has a product, say, that we want to try to take forward, I also help that group with some of the resources that are available in pediatric healthcare or in the healthcare ecosystem in the state of Georgia to help move them forward kind of before they become a real company.
Okay.
So before seed round or Series A, just some of those first steps. So those are some of the things that I do in the network. I do also talk to pediatric innovators who maybe have their own company. It helps me to understand what types of technologies are out there right now so that Georgia Tech doesn't reinvent something that's already coming to market or on the market. So I do a lot to try to stay up to date with different technologies that are emerging.
Oh, that's really exciting. So you get your hands really in at Georgia Tech. And,
yes.
And you help, I guess, create some efficiencies too when you think about it around innovation. That's so exciting. So is there anything you want to highlight about your relationship with CHOA? I'm aware of some successes there and everything. Are there a couple projects and innovations that you want to talk about?
Oh gosh,
I know there's so many.
There are so many that are so exciting. So one of them that I think has had the most impact, very few children, but the children it's helped, it's saved their lives. So that is a tracheal splint that was developed by a faculty member at Georgia Tech. And I think what's one of the interesting things about it is it's 3D printed based on the MRI of the child. These children are born with a collapsed trachea, so they can't breathe on their own. Forgot to say that. But so what he's done is he's developed a splint that goes around the outside of the trachea, and the doctor will insert it and stitch it to the trachea, and that way the trachea grows open. And then it's made of a biocompatible material that absorbs into the body over time. So by the time the child is 3, the splint has disintegrated.
Okay.
And that way you don't have to go back in and
surgery.
take something out.
Oh, that's got to be great, especially for parents watching this happen to their child.
Yeah.
Wow. And about how many patients right now?
I want to say they've done 7 or 8.
Okay.
I think the last one was in Australia even.
Oh, wow.
So really amazing.
Wow. Definitely reaching all areas of the planet. That's really impressive.
Yeah. So there aren't too many kids born with this problem every year, but for the ones that are.
Significant impact. Yeah. Well, rare conditions are still conditions. Every life you want to save matters. So that's exciting. It's got to be very exciting for the faculty member too to see that happen. So do you work throughout Children's, or is there like a specific office there?
We really work with anyone at Children's. Okay. So we have the relationship. We work with the innovation officer there, Wilbur Lamb. Yep. And so he's part of the leadership. He's the co-director for the Pediatric Technology Center, along with Stas Emelianov. He is the Georgia Tech co-director. And really we work with anyone. So we'll work with, for example, their IT department to, make sure that anything we develop that's in the IT space, maybe it's an app or whatever it needs to do to fit into their networks, we work with them to make sure it does actually work at Children's. So everything we do, we really try to make sure that the clinician and any other team that needs to be involved, like IS&T, are a part of the program and really are integrated so that when we come up with a solution, it truly is going to work for them, and it's going to be, applicable and be ready to launch when it's ready to go.
That's outstanding. So, well, I want to hear a little bit more about your personal passion that is directly connected to your job as well.
Yes.
So I know about it. So please tell our audience about the patients you work with, the young patients you work with, and you help advocate for.
Yes. So aside from my role at Georgia Tech, I am president of a nonprofit, and the nonprofit is called the International Children's Advisory Network, or ICANN for short. And about 90% of our kids have some sort of medical diagnosis that they live with. So it could be anything from ADHD or asthma all the way to the rarest of the rare diseases. Wow. And it's really, really great to work with them. We make sure that they are integrated into the research and development process in healthcare for kids. And so what we do is we are partners with the FDA. So we send kids and families to talk at the FDA about what it's like to live with a condition or a device or a drug. We just sent two kids and a parent last month to talk about what it's like to participate in clinical trials. We also have them interact with industry. So industry might be developing a product and they want kid feedback or input from the very beginning. And we'll do focus groups or surveys with industry. We also work with clinicians setting up clinical trials. So if you want to have input on the assent or consent or the protocol before you start a clinical trial to make sure that it's understandable, kid-friendly, there's no showstoppers in there with the family, or how could you change it to make it a little bit better? Yeah. Those are some of the things that we do with our kids and getting them out there. And it's really, really exciting because it's amazing to see these kids grow, right? And so some of the things that we do with them besides these focus groups and interactions is we have 2 monthly webinar series, and one goes through our curriculum, and we do things like leadership activities, telling your story, understanding clinical trials. So a lot of different things that will help them become that better patient and better speaker.
Yes.
So that they can really stand up for themselves and they feel empowered to do it. And
do you have a team here, or is it just you and volunteers? Yeah.
So I am a volunteer in that role. We have a team. We have 2 people, one in Mississippi and one in California, and they really run everything day to day.
Wow.
And they're absolutely amazing and so much fun to work with. We're excited because I actually leave tomorrow to go to Raleigh with both of them. And we're going to be participating in a UCB fundraiser.
Oh, wow.
It's their Halloween walk.
Yes.
And they chose ICANN as the recipient of the funds that they raised this year. So we're super honored that they have done that for us. And it's going to be really fun.
No, that's really exciting. And you're definitely taking from bench to bedside. We always say that in business, but it's very applicable with patients. We need to remember, why we do this. This is why you're here. And we always talk about that with our patient advocacy group that we work with, the various groups we work with. And it's so important, I think, to definitely know the resources like yourself out there and ICANN to help the researchers, bring those voices in, especially with pediatrics. It's an entirely different animal in and of itself. But that's so exciting, and good luck with the walk, and have fun tomorrow.
Yes.
UCB is our largest member and one of our biggest supporters, and they do a lot of work for our institute. So we're big partners with the team here in Atlanta. So that's exciting. But I hope you have a great walk. For ICANN, y'all work with anybody? Anyone can reach out? Their website for that?
Anybody can reach out. Yep, it's icann.health. So we try to keep it really easy for you. We do have 40 chapters around the world, so it's not just in the U.S., and any child can participate, so they don't have to have a condition. We think that bringing in children from everywhere, no matter what, gives, that whole generation of kids that we're raising to have that confidence to speak up and represent themselves and understand healthcare. A lot of these kids, we think it builds empathy, understanding people who aren't like them necessarily, not just medically, but even from cultures with kids coming from all over the world. So we bring them together once a year, and it's really, really fun to see them interact with each other. There's nothing else like it.
That's so exciting. But you bring up a good point. It's really important that you build advocates for people, because I lost my father to a rare disease, but he's not able to advocate for himself anymore because he's not with us. But the disease also took his ability to speak and have those conversations. So the caretaker often has to be that. And there's so many different diseases that people live with that they may not be able to be that self-advocate. So those caretakers and those supporters, those friends, having them be part of this, I think, is a critical aspect of it. And like you said, at a young age, it gets kids excited and plugged in, and that'll impact them, their ability to feel empowered to stand up for themselves or their friends in all sorts of situations, not even just this one.
Exactly. And we do believe that the parents, the caregivers are very integral to all of this. So we do have a caregiver program in addition to our original program. We have a sibling program because we didn't want ICANN to be yet another place that the sibling is left out. And they all have their own stories to tell.
Yeah.
And we also have a young adult professional network. And so if anyone out there in the industry community would like to offer research opportunities or internships, we have lots of kids who would love to participate in something. They have so many of them, I guess, because a lot of what they go through in the hospital system, they have the desire to have a career in healthcare of some form. And so we're really trying to help raise that next generation of healthcare providers as well.
No, it's important. And there's data to support you. If you don't get kids excited about STEM at an early age, it's unlikely they're going to go into it. So lots of impact throughout the entire sector of healthcare and life sciences. Last question on that. How are y'all funded?
So we are funded by industry. Sponsorship, depending on what you come in with, there are different levels of sponsorship, and you can get things like interactions, certain number of interactions with our kids throughout the year to do the focus group or the surveys if you want. Seat on our board as being a member of our board to help guide us at a certain level, or just participating in the conference. So there's a lot of different ways. We also work with volunteers a lot. So we are very small. We run on a lean budget. We have 2 employees, which is new, by the way. We had 1.5 for about a year before that and 1 before that.
Yeah.
So
I understand lean. I can sympathize with that. Yeah.
We're tiny. So we always look for volunteers to either come speak at one of our webinar series or work with our kids in like right now, the young adult professionals have been doing mock interviews and helps with resumes and things.
That's good.
Even translating our materials for us into multiple languages. So there's a gazillion ways that you could volunteer with ICANN, but we do look for sponsorship. And the more sponsorship we have, the more kids we can bring to the conference every year, and the more of these programs that we can keep running for all of the different groups that we work with right now.
Awesome. That's so exciting. Well, I really appreciate you joining us, bringing it back to the Pediatric Innovation Network.
Yeah.
Where can they go to learn more about that and connect with you?
Yes. I knew you would ask that. So for the Pediatric Technology Center, it's PTC.
And that's the part with CHOA.
And this is a part with children's, but you can reach me through there too. PTC.Gatech, GATECH.edu is the website. My email address, if you want to get in touch with me, is...
Well, we can put that in the show notes, actually.
Perfect.
So just wanted to plug the website for now.
Yes. But the website for the Georgia Tech Pediatric Innovation Network is new, and I don't know the URL yet.
Well, but I'm sure if we search it, we'll just Google...
Pediatric Innovation Network, Leanne West, or Georgia Tech.
And we'll find it and put it in the show notes to make sure it's there.
There you go.
No, that's
Perfect.
not a problem. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And any last comments, or are you...
I don't know. No, this is great. Super exciting. I do love what I do, and working with all the kids and the doctors who take care of them. It's all really, really fantastic. And it's fun to see, when we do create something that it gets used in the real world.
Well, your excitement for it is just infectious. And, I really appreciate everything I learned from you and our partnership with you and all the leadership you provide our community. So thanks for joining us. And thank you all for listening to another episode of BioBeat, Georgia's Life Sciences podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Georgia Life Sciences podcast series. If you enjoyed the conversation, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast. It helps us reach more listeners like you. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. For more insights into Georgia's thriving life sciences community, be sure to visit us at galifesciences.org. And thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time.